you have led some of the most significant hospitality projects and transformations in India that actually need a turnaround.
It's not an individual, but I think it's the right place, right time, right team. I truly believe turnarounds aren't about spreadsheets, right? Setting that North Star, it's very important, right? And celebrating those quick wins. Those are the big pieces that really make everyone believe in it, and that's how the turnaround story starts. That used to say, keep your feet on the ground and aim for the stars. That's really the mantra that all of us should have. That's the story of turnaround.
Okay. To be specific, what does that first 6-month window typically looks like when you are leading a recovery cycle?
Urgency must come with clarity. If you don't have clarity, you will end up burning people before the business really turns around. And motivation is a spark, right? But the systems are the fuel, and you need to constantly fuel it. Don't get those cookies in the meetings. It's as simple as that.
And one of my favorite ones is technology. See, technology and humans go hand in hand. How at Radisson you are ensuring that your talent is ready for the future?
So it's a great question, and tech is that enabler. I think you and I agree that human intelligence is still going to be there, and we'll need the final call on that.
3 skills which a revenue management professional today should be honing so that he's ready for the future. Building a respectable hotel brand is not just hard work, but it is a well thought through and disciplined approach in bringing the right ingredients at the right time, in the right measure to make your magic happen. Hello, everybody. I'm Vijayata Soni, the co-founder and CEO of Sciative Solutions, and I'll be your host today on the Road Ahead Talk Show. With me is a seasoned professional and a leader from the industry with more than 25 years of experience, Mr. Nikhil Sharma. He is currently the Managing Director and Chief Operating Officer, South Asia region at the Radisson Hotel Group. Nikhil has a proven track record in the areas of business development, operations turnaround, project management, and driving a lot of innovations across various departments. He has been previously associated as Managing Director at the Wyndham Hotels and Resorts Group. He has also been the Chief Operating Officer at the Ginger Hotels and the founding member of the Lemon Tree Hotel Group. So Nikhil is passionate about building capabilities within people, ensuring there is inclusiveness and a fun, joyful environment at work. What I have researched about him is that with all of this experience, he also has a great ability of narrating great stories. Today in this podcast, Nikhil will be predominantly talking about the 3 T's of hospitality. So what these T's are, let's try to understand from him. Hi, Nikhil. Welcome to the Road Ahead Talk Show. It's a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you so much, Vijayata, for having me and the Radisson Hotel Group and the road ahead.
That's wonderful. So without wasting any more time, what we can do is directly get into the questions because our viewers are waiting for your answers around the 3 T's. So while the 3 T's of hospitality, which is talent, technology, and time, while we are going to deal with that, let me come to the first question for you. Okay. So you have led some of the most significant hospitality projects and transformations in India, from scaling of Lemon Tree to steering Wyndham Hotels and its revival. Looking back, what are some of the challenges that you feel, or maybe even the patterns that you have observed in the hotel brands that actually need a turnaround? And what's your personal playbook for approaching such pivots?
Firstly, thank you for your kind words. It's not an individual, but I think it's the right place, right time, right team, and the right environment, right? Those factors are extremely important. And we can talk about turnaround, but I truly believe turnarounds aren't about spreadsheets, right? While we talk about numbers, but turnarounds aren't about spreadsheets. They are really about listening deeply, understanding the expectations from your clients, from your guests, from your employees. Uh, Setting that North Star, it's very important, right? And celebrating those quick wins. Those are the big pieces that really make everyone believe in it, and that's how the turnaround story starts. And I'll stick to hospitality from that perspective. So, for me, what is a turnaround? I think visiting the hotels, speaking to the teams, understanding The grassroots situation is extremely important.
Right.
There was this UK broadcaster that used to say, "Keep your feet on the ground and aim for the stars." I think that's really
So true.
the mantra. That's really the mantra that all of us should have. And the patterns are very clear in turnarounds. Sometimes it could be brand it's not aligned, lack of commercial focus, lack of ops focus, service gaps. When I mean ops focus, I mean service gaps, really,
Yeah.
uh, right? And lack of empathy from
Right.
our perspective. We are in the people business, so we need to be empathetic to our team members and to our guests, right? So really, it's about empowering and celebrating those small wins, and that's the story of
So
turnaround.
true. That's wonderful and very relevant, in fact. With that, I come to my next question for you, which is around time. So, time is often seen as one of the biggest constraints in any turnaround activity or any change activity, change management activity. You, as a leader, how do you prioritize short term actions versus long term goals? And to be specific, what does that first 6 month window typically looks like when you are leading a recovery cycle?
Absolutely, that's my belief, right? And firstly, I think the first 6 months are extremely important, and
Mhm.
urgency must come with clarity. And what I mean by that is, if you don't have clarity, you will end up burning people before the business really turns around, right? So again, first 6 months, urgency must come with clarity, and that's really the mantra that I would urge people to look at.
Mhm.
Because in the first 90 days, you want to not only understand the business, you want to fix the service issues, you want to fix the cost leaks, you want to fix the pricing. There's a lot you want to do, right?
True.
But you want to begin with the SOPs, the tech training, everything in parallel. It cannot be linear from that perspective. And I think communicating with urgency and
Mm.
clarity is extremely important. You need to get the communication lines open.
Can you emphasize on that part? I mean, communications with the team members, external vendors. When you say communication, what does that mean?
So, firstly, you don't rush into it, right? And which
Mhm.
is why you spend the first 90 days understanding where the organization is,
Mm.
where the gaps are, right? And then once you have that clarity and you have a roadmap, and like I said earlier, you have a North Star, right? You have a roadmap to that North Star. It's
Mm.
important to talk and communicate about that to align the larger team in that direction. Because without alignment, you may have all A-star players, but it won't be a A-star team, and that's really where you want to take the team.
Absolutely. What things can go wrong when we talk about communication? Because it's a very
Mm.
subtle but a very critical side of any turnaround that happens, and especially in hospitality. When I'm talking about a turnaround,
Yeah.
communication, as you very rightly said, is important, but there are certain times it can go wrong. So, what are some of the critical things that you have to take care of when you're talking about the right set of communications, and how can it go wrong?
Well, I mean, a lot a lot can go wrong in communication, right? So
Mhm.
let's look at the guardrails, for example. Keep it concise, keep it precise, keep it objectable, um, and relatable to the organization. And every
Mm.
organization is different, and
Mm.
every organization's DNA different. So you need to protect the DNA of the organization, but also
Mm.
ensure that it stays relevant from a market share perspective,
Mhm.
and relevant from what's really happening in the market. So it should not be a xenophobic organization. And what I mean by xenophobic is inward looking. You have to be outward looking, and your communication needs to entrail what's
Mm.
really happening in the market as well, and align your organization in that direction.
Right. How has your journey been? So once the turnaround happens and then you make it come to a stable level and then moving to a next brand, and Radisson is an amazing brand to be with. I've been internationally. I have stayed with this brand multiple times. What has your experience been? And as a leader, not just as I mean, I am a guest experience, right? Your experience as a leader will be really important to understand. You make stuff happen in one organization, then you move around, and then come to a brand like Radisson, an amazing one, right? What do you see over there?
Thank you for your kind words again. Okay. But I truly believe, and let me just talk a little bit personal here rather than business, right? So, uh,
Wonderful.
motivation is let's talk about motivation, and I think because a sense of purpose for an organization is extremely important, and
So,
and motivation is a spark, right? But the systems are the fuel, and you need to constantly fuel it. Um, you need to identify, let me just say, the fireplace that gives the flame to a home,
mm,
right?
mm,
And I would say there are four or five elements, if I can categorize it.
mhm,
Firstly, and Gandhiji said this: be the change you want to see in the
mm,
world. So so I meditate, for example. I'm an active learner. I write, right?
wonderful.
So that's me as a personality. But um, what is the anchor identity of the organization? Important to design the environment that you're in, right?
Mm,
The good choices, and we all make these promises to ourselves, and that I'm not going to eat that next cookie that in the next meeting, and I'm only going to have the tea, and I'm only going to have green tea. But it's very important to make sure that you try and stick to those promises. So
yeah.
uh, don't get those cookies in the meetings. It's as simple as that, or keep them away from you. Right. Third, I think is extremely important to have a partner. Right.
Hmm.
Because and in life, right? So, for example, with my wife, for example, we have some health goals. So, and she does ensure that she kicks me out of the bed to make sure that we get onto the exercise regime, right? So it's important to keep it going. And what I mean by that is the discipline of keeping it going, and don't have too many cheat days, because those cheat days become cheat weeks at the end of the day. So try and do it in, if not 48 hours, 62 hours, whatever. So just as an example, right? Um, the other thing is, I know you're always seeking perfection with internet and so on and so forth, but one of the things I think is we seek progress and not so much perfection, right? So that it's okay. It's really okay. I think sometimes we're all human beings. We make mistakes. We learn. We need to move on. So one of the things I would really urge is let's seek progress. Keep the ship moving. It's very
Yeah.
important. And last but not the least, and this applies more to business as well,
Yeah.
is record everything and reflect. Because if you don't track your habits, if you don't track what's really happening, if you don't
Yeah.
track numbers,
Yeah.
you will eventually drift away.
No, absolutely. And each and everything that you have mentioned over here, whether it is tracking, monitoring, making sure that you are right on your goals, you're loyal to it, you have a great partner. Everything applies into the business as well. Only then can you, and this takes time, right? So it clearly covers that time element, because whenever you'll be looking at turnarounds or any major change which is happening in the organization, time is of essence, and often leaders forget that change requires time, and they want things to be happening very fast, right? They want things to change very fast, but you have to understand that ground realities need to be understood first. You build brick by brick. So all of these points which you have mentioned is really great and very, very applicable to every facet of business. um, from there, one of the other T's which are very interesting and one of my favorite ones is
Yeah.
technology.
Mhm.
Technology is changing. I mean, just imagine the way we used to communicate earlier. Things have changed. The way we used to even do our task, even prioritize things have changed. And technology has been a major lever in doing what we are doing today. Future is going to be even more faster. The future is going to be different, because the rapid manner in which the technology is enhancing itself, the humanity will have to keep up to it. So according to you, in the hospitality industry, and you can be open from an India side or even globally, right? How is technology shaping up the hospitality industry across the globe? And if you
So
can be very specific with examples, it's going to be really great.
sure. So firstly, uh, let me just say you need to automate the repetitions, right? So the human element of people can focus on the moments that really matter and the connections that truly matter. Right now, let me give you a differentiation, and I will give you a business hotel and a leisure hotel, for example.
Mhm.
Will, will in my view, will and we're actually doing this in Europe, for example. We have check-in machines, right? In India, due to certain government norms, we can't introduce it, but there's less interaction in a business hotel, and and that's fine. But when you're at a leisure location in a resort, for example, in India, anywhere, whether it's Lonavala or Karjat or Dharamshala and so on and so forth, um, you want that human interaction, you want that experience interaction. So I would say that there are two different aspects, but it's extremely important to automate the low emotion tasks, if I can say
Mhm.
that, and check-in and pricing are
Yeah.
two elements that I would put there. Um, let the humans focus on the high touch, high emotion guest moments, and that's really what we are in for. Again, business hotels, leisure hotels can have digital check-ins. It really improves, huh? And back-end automation, of course.
Yeah.
In fact, and if I can talk about pricing a little bit, where we've automated our hotels, we've seen um, a, a RevPAR increase. We've seen a revenue increase of almost 17% and occupancy of 10%. So
Mhm.
great results on automation and revenue management from that perspective.
As we're talking about the pricing bit and automation in it, what part of pricing can be automated, and what do you think should still be driven by a human?
So firstly, I think all most of it can be automated, right? Because at the end of the day, the days of the revenue manager 8-hour shift, 6 days a week are long gone, right?
Mhm.
You need the AI powered pricing. It gets better forecasting. The forecasting accuracy is anywhere between 90 to 95%. With
Yeah.
the human being, there could be an error of 90 to 95%. So you see the delta is huge from that perspective, right? Um, and I would also look at F&B as not only rooms, but I'll also look at pricing in F&B events, ancillary revenue. How can we automate these for better results? So as we speak, in fact, we are actually piloting um, uh, F&B optimization in a coffee shop and looking at dynamic pricing for our menu items. Now, that's something that I know has not happened largely in this part of the world. But yeah, it's an experiment that we want to see how it goes. So on a Saturday, if we have more requests for a dal makhani, instead of pricing it at 550, it should be priced at 700 and
Mhm.
see what it does. But those are the small tweaks that really helps with automation as an example.
So true. See, technology and humans go hand in hand. Because technology in itself, while a lot can be automated, while I'm coming from a tech company side, I am saying that it is really important to have the human element aligned to it, because the human brings in the creativity in the technology. Because how do you use technology? Because I might build the best system, right? So whether I'm doing pricing in the travel industry or the retail industry, I might build the best system, but in the end, the system has to be used by a human, right? It has to have that element of the touch of a human is very critical. So, humans will slowly. I mean, from here, I'm trying to get into the third T, which is the talent side, right? So, while technology is very important, your upgradation of talent is also very critical, right?
Yeah.
So, how at Radisson you are ensuring that your talent is ready for the future, and the future is going to be artificial intelligence. So, how is the talent going to be trained, maneuvered, designed to handle the future skills?
So it's a great question. I would say just if you want the team to win together, make sure that they're looking at the same scoreboard, right? And
Mm.
tech is that enabler, right? So you have to, like I gave you an example earlier of business and leisure hotel. So where I'm coming in from is you have to blend empathy with tech, and that is agility and clarity in my view.
Mm.
Um, and tech does that for you, right? To a large degree, and and you still need the human intelligence and the human interface on piece on top of the tech. So we're not taking the human intelligence away, but we're making sure that we are more informed and taking much better decisions.
So if I'm a hotel chain and if I'm bringing in an RMS system which is more powered by a agentic AI, I mean not just a generative AI, because generative AI is good for writing text, but agentic AI is something which helps take decisions. It is mathematically trained to take decisions, right? So if we are building that agentic AI, and if a hotel brings that into their organization, uh, how should the revenue management team inside that hotel be made ready to adapt to it, according to you?
Well, firstly, you have to have a team that's active learners and
Mhm.
ready for change, because change is inevitable. Um, and while there's a lot of chat on AI, and hospitality as an industry has been slow on technology overall, uh, but is fairly adaptive to AI, and you see a lot of us moving fast in that direction, right? So whether if it's an organization that's moving from a call virtual to a virtual call center, moving away, I don't know, 100 team members at a call center for reservations, and moving to AI generated bot, a better version of a bot as an example,
Mhm.
but you still have human intervention. There are training interventions that are needed for that at that level. To your question, at the hotel level, firstly, you have to train the team that there is no fear, and this is a tool to empower you more than to take away your job. Because I think there's a lot of conversation about how our jobs are going to go away and how AI is going to be running the world, but I think you and I agree that the human intelligence is still going to be there and will need. The final call on that.
Absolutely. And this again ties back to the first thought that you had started, was importance of communication and turnaround. And with technology, turnarounds change happen, and communication therefore becomes so much more critical to make that change get absorbed within the organization fluently. Wonderful. Give me a few examples about Radisson. I mean, I would love to hear some interesting and cutting edge things that we are doing at Radisson, which is beyond the normal set.
But I don't know if it's cutting edge because you're from the tech industry, right? So from a hospitality perspective, um, we started digital kiosks in Europe, for example, right? It's just convenience over anything else. And also in Europe compared to this Asia, the manpower ratios in terms of salaries or FTE costs is fairly different, right? So it makes more sense from that perspective. The other example that I just gave you is of F&B dynamic pricing. Now, that's something in this part of the world that
Yeah.
most hotel chains are not doing at the moment, right? So that is something that we've already started piloting in this region, and seeing how we can make F&B menu at the coffee shop or as a specialty more dynamic than static pricing. Right. The third piece, and this will obviously then multiply into MICE events, weddings, and so on and so forth. Right.
Yeah.
And you could look at upselling uh, the BOQ, or what we call the banquet
Yeah.
menu, and so on and so forth, right? Uh, so these would be the two big callouts. Of course, we continue to work with tools for our revenue management. And we have various tools that we are currently working with, whether it's Ideas, whether it's Duoto, or Lighthouse, or SDR, and integrating it all into a tool that we call Pulse, which is an in-house tool that we built. So at any given point of time, uh, we can look at any hotel and break down the RGI, CQI, GRI, and so on and so forth
Mm.
for the hotel, and it's all live, for example.
Wonderful. So measuring every single quant score which is happening is very critical. Only then will the improvements starts happening, and everybody starts speaking in the same lingo. And data is that lingo then. Uh,
Data is that lingo. Measurement is extremely important in personal life and professional life.
Nikhil, one interesting thing. I mean, I have been reading about hospitality, and there are a lot of people who talk about sustainability. right?
Mhm.
Is sustainability, so sustainability is really good. I am for that. Okay. Great for the planet, great for the system. But as a leader who's driving a business, I would also want to understand from you, is implementing sustainability, is the customer who is going to be your guest, is he or she ready to pay the level of premium? Because
Mm.
you are making operational changes, you are doing changes within how your stuff happens within the experience that you're delivering to your guest. Efforts are happening, a lot of interesting things are going on. It is costly, nothing comes for free.
Mm.
So is your guest willing to pay that premiumness for sustainability? So is that, but what's your take? I mean, it is important to do, but is the guest willing to pay for it?
So the short answer is that are customers asking for sustainable hotels? Yes. Are they willing to pay the premium? Not at the moment, right? So, and broadly, I do believe that sustainability, becomes culture when every person sees the impact of the work on the planet, right? And it's a personal belief. For us at Radisson, it's not a nice to have. It is a business need, right? And it's embedded in our operations. It's not bolted in, if I can say, right?
Hmm.
We've actually have net zero hotels globally, two of them. Um,
Wonderful.
we have, of course, in this region, we are uh, plastic free. Uh, we have lead zero carbon designs for our hotels, right? So it has to start from really the construction and then into operations. But I think more importantly is when the team see the impact uh, on the planet, they take ownership, and that's we also give back to society in a large way, right? So I think sustainably, it's a culture. It's not a SOP or a manual, really. It needs
Hmm.
to be the culture of any organization.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So while this becomes the culture of the organization, it might happen that the profitability, or it needs to be looked at it in a secondary way. But in future, when even the society starts picking that culture wherein people are ready to pay a premium, because one of the retail articles that I was reading, at max, customers can pay a premium of 3.5%
Yeah.
for organic and natural products, sustainable growth stuff, right? Apart from that, there is no return. So from a business side, questionable, but from a culture side, planet side, absolutely a yes,
Well,
right?
I'll give you an example. So our amenities today, they are with bamboo paper, right? So the toothbrush,
Yes,
basic amenities in the room, right?
yes,
We've moved away from paper to bamboo paper, and
yes.
it is less expensive than what we were contracted earlier. So it's
Hmm.
not always more expensive. You need to find the right solution. You need, of course, scale helps.
Wonderful.
In our case, we have large scale, so that helps as well. But yeah, it's a sustainable solution, and it works, and it's not more expensive. It's actually less expensive.
Wonderful. Wonderful. That's great to hear. All right. So Nikhil Sharma, this is one of my last questions for you. Okay. Your three skills which you would ask a revenue manager
Yeah.
to hone for future. Three skills which a revenue management professional today should be honing so that he's ready for the future.
Um, Understand protocols for AI. That's the first one, and it could be any tool that they use. Be open to learning, and the third is don't fear for your AI to take your job away.
Wonderful. With that note, Nikhil, thank you so much for your time and your knowledge sharing with all of us at the Road Ahead Talk Show. And I'm very sure there are so many young people in this revenue management area and hospitality who would love to hear you. Okay. So thank you so much, Nikhil.
Thank you for having me. It was a delight. Thank you.
One leadership mantra that has stuck with you since your RN days.
One leadership mantra. Wow, that's a big one. Yeah. Be precise.
When the markets are volatile, do you bet on accuracy or agility?
Both.
The one RN superpower that every hotelier should be having in the era of artificial intelligence.
Know what questions to ask the AI.
RevPAR or ADR? Which one is more important?
RevPAR, hands down.
The one most underrated quality of a RN leader in the hospitality industry, which you feel that the industry should have valued more.
Empathy.
Contactless check-in, AI chatbots, or smart rooms? Which one's going to be the wow for the guests in the next 3 years?
They'll all be realities. Depending on the customer profile, some of them will find each one of them a wow moment, but they'll all be realities in the next 3 to 5 years.